Let me paint a picture for you. You want to do great things. You work rigorously, as you should, putting in time and effort to a project of your own. Sleepless nights, countless coffees, 24/7 do not disturb mode. To learn and put into practice everything good you've come across. To give yourself as many chances as possible to achieve your goal. But nothing happens. And nothing happens. And just before despair finds you at your lowest point, everything happens. This is your big break. But Rome wasn't built in a day. You know in your current state, you won't be able to do your best work. So some well-deserved rest is needed. But then social media tells you to stop whining. You need to
work like hell.
At work, your boss keeps sending you emails at late hours, always at 11 PM sharp. It's almost like they want to show you how much they do, how much they need to
work like hell.
When you're with your friends, a conversation about life and being busy starts to happen, but you sense a different tone from usual. It's abnormal. Everyone is trying to compete and testify how they are the busiest. You hear things like rise and grind. No excuses. It's all about
work like hell. I mean, you just have to put in.
You decide to follow the trend. You continue to work through it. No sleep, you tell yourself. Everyone is doing it. This is hustle culture. This is actually our reality. A reality that's glorified, that I myself to touch on the realities of life in a manner accessible to both children and adults on several subjects that many kids shows would never. Which regarding hustle culture is actually sprinkled across the show. But I want to single out a certain episode, Sponge Hedge, due to its weird, uneasy, yet as I've gotten older and have come to understand, fitting way it presents this problem. The episode starts with a strong wind across Bikini Bottom, the source of which is unknown, causing leftovers to blow across the city, which ends up hitting SpongeBob in his face while he's in bed. As SpongeBob goes to throw out the leftovers, he realizes that the strong winds actually create a pleasing sound through the holes in his body, which actually attracts a jellyfish. The jellyfish ends up sticking around to sunrise but doesn't want to leave, even though SpongeBob has to go to work, who then is accompanied by more jellyfish. The jellyfish continue to disrupt his day and people around him, so SpongeBob decides to isolate himself from society to solve his dilemma. And this is where things take a turn for the worse, as SpongeBob falls victim to a trait that many of us run with, being prideful. But we'll get onto this more later. He ends up creating a sculpture of himself to help cope with the isolation, which no reference to time was given on how long it took to create, but based on his overgrown hair, the distress shown in his outfit, and the fact that he's becoming loony enough to not only conversate with the sculpture, but have fake TV one, we can assume it's a considerable length of time. After building the sculpture, he realizes it also makes a sound through his holes. He uses this to try to please the jellyfish, but the sound doesn't hit the same, they aren't really impressed. He goes back to the drawing board to think about how he can actually create a solution to his problem and concludes that different size sculptures may be able to provide a noteworthy sound to the jellyfish, but of course he's not sure exactly what size of sculpture he requires. At this point, you would hope he thinks about how long he's been gone for, things like his friends, his family, his pet, but instead he says this.
I guess I'll just have to make a bunch of them.
Follows this by creating giant versions of the sculpture, a time length also not provided, which actually successfully creates a soothing sound for the jellyfish so he can return back to society and, for him, more importantly, back to work.
I can go back to work now!
But as he gets there, he finds that it's long been deserted and that now, not by choice, he actually is all alone. We then time travel into the future to what seems to be aliens speaking about the creation of the sculpture, not knowing why it was created or by whom. The close of this episode wasn't your usual comedic or happy resolution people, fans are used to, but actually what I would call the end of SpongeBob. In efforts to try drive home and for us to think about a few things. Is it worth achieving your goals if it will cost you everything to do so? Is your hustle a means to an end, and if so, what truly is your end? Are you working hard or hustling on the right things? And within your situation, your process, do you need some help? With number one, I imagine this being given as an ultimatum that says achieve your goals today, but you need to disown your family, your friends, and who you are, or carrying your life as normal. Honestly, for me, I don't think the choice is even close. I would always choose the latter. You see, while I would confidently say I'm an ambitious person who is very open to working hard to obtain lofty goals, if it's at the cost of everything, or more close to reality here, the things that are really important, then is it really worth it? So I present to you the question, what would your choice be? What was your answer and why? I say this as the episode shows us that SpongeBob's means to an end was solely to get back to doing more work. After this extended period of time in isolation, no thoughts of his pet, his friends, his family, just One may argue he's a passionate fry cook, so work feels like play to him, or in Japan. That isn't normal, nor should it ever be. So I think an exercise that we could all do is sitting down to understand the real reason behind our why. Our why provides meaning to it all, allows us to stay consistent, but most importantly ensures that the things that bring value to us are kept at the forefront of our hard work. Yet there's a need to ensure your hard work is actually on the right things. Working hard on the wrong things can induce a false sense of accomplishment that's very easy to get addicted to due to the belief of progression, moving forward, getting things done. SpongeBob's accomplishment wasn't false in the literal sense of the word. He did actually solve his dilemma, but more so in the philosophical sense of the word, as creating sculptures is not what he's supposed to do for the rest of his life, but that was the result. So the only sense of accomplishment he can get from doing this is not aligned with his passions or on a deeper level his identity, ultimately being one that is now false. It's relatable to being told how hard work will be able to help you achieve anything, but despite what you're being told, hard work unfortunately isn't always enough. For example, I want to be the next Michael Jordan, but based on my height, my lack of talent at basketball, and my geographic location, no matter how ambitious I think I am, I have almost no chance of making it to the NBA, let alone becoming the next Michael Jordan, even if I worked hard at it every single day. But hustle culture would tell me just keep grinding, keep going, keep working, making me think that I'm making progress. But I'm not any closer to being an NBA level player, Michael Jordan level player. You see, working hard is really important and it's a necessity to achieving big things. But you also have to understand what your unfair advantage is so you can actually work hard on the right things to increase your chance of success. But what really stood out for me as an overarching message to take away from this episode is being able to ask yourself the question of if you need any help. While neither this video or this episode can act as a substitute for professional help, it can allow you to start asking the much needed question of if you need any help, and if so, why haven't you already obtained it? In this episode we see SpongeBob going practically crazy, which results in a dark ending as SpongeBob chooses to shoulder his problem alone. But even in these instances, and for us, it can be easily avoided as help can be found in various forms based on your situation. To help with chronic stress, depression or extreme anxiety, speaking to a therapist. To help with excessive work, ask for assistance from friends, family, co-workers, or in an entrepreneurial space, paying for additional hands as resource. To help with burnout, taking breaks, simply going outside, or starting a new hobby, preferably a physical one like going to the gym to obtain additional health benefits. All being viable ways to provide you with the assistance you may need. And I'll conclude by saying this video is not an excuse to not work hard, but quite the contrary. Work hard, extremely hard, sleepless nights, countless coffees, 24/7 do not disturb mode, all the works. But while doing this, consider the ideas that you should definitely take away from this video from the episode. To sum up one of the most important takeaways, pride comes before the fall. So never be too proud to ask for help, or as the more enlightening version goes, found in the Bible, Proverbs 16:18, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Hopefully this video was able to paint the episode that's notoriously not liked by fans in a more positive light. There's actually some good takeaways to take from it, of course, and maybe there's actually value in a rewatch. And speaking about value, if you like this, of course, then I definitely recommend looking at my video here about the dark truth about productivity. Do all of that good YouTube stuff, so like, comment, subscribe, and until next time, take care, stay blessed, and peace. Change will be televised.